Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the actual anatomy of a scare. We're going to break down a truly chilling piece of microfiction known as the mirror phantom of Rockfin. We'll look at exactly how a narrative constructs terror literally from the ground up, moving from a simple, kind of eerie premise to a devastating psychological climax. By analyzing the specific mechanics of isolation, superstition, and psychological manipulation used in the story, we're going to understand exactly why it gets right under our skin. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's dive right into this chilling premise. The village possesses one absolute golden rule. After sunset, no one is to look out the window of their house. Notice how simple yet absolutely oppressive that is. There's no explanation given, no reason why, just this unwavering mandate that dictates the lives of literally everyone in the village. This is a classic horror trope, right? The forbidden action. By telling a character, and by extension, us as the audience, not to look, the narrative instantly builds this intense, agonizing curiosity. We just know someone is going to look, and we know for sure the consequences are going to be dire.
Moving to Section 1, Rakvan, a mysterious village. Let's start by establishing the setting here.
To really understand why our protagonist is in so much danger, we gotta look at the geographical isolation. Rakwan isn't just a small mountain village, it's practically erased from the world. It's literally not found on any map. But the detail that really locks in the dread? The path to the village actually changes every Amavasya, or new moon. Think about that for a second. This isn't just a remote location. It's a trap. The folklore establishes a profound feeling of helplessness. If something goes wrong, you can't just run away, because the very geometry of the escape route is completely unstable. There's no way out.
Section 2, the terrifying rule of darkness. Let's see what happens when modern logic collides with this ancient rule.
This brilliantly illustrates the central tension of the first act. We've got our protagonist, Aarav. He's a city boy who thinks this whole rule is just completely absurd village superstition. A total joke, right? But contrasting his arrogance is the undeniable, harsh reality of the village. At dusk, it goes dead silent. Doors are locked tight, windows are heavily covered, and even the street dogs, which, are usually super noisy in a rural setting, they go completely quiet. Aarav's skepticism is crashing headfirst into a terrifying reality. That absolute silence of the animals, that's the narrative's way of screaming at us that the threat is very, very real.
And that brings us to Section 3, the midnight knock.
Picture this. It's exactly midnight. Step 1, it starts with a soft tap on Aarav's window. Tap, tap, tap. At this point, Aarav still thinks it's a prank. But then we hit Step 2, the escalation. The tapping turns into a loud, aggressive knocking. Thump, thump, thump. The pacing of the story just accelerates here, taking us from mild annoyance to genuine heart-pounding alarm. And then, Step 3. The silence is broken by a voice that absolutely shouldn't be there. The tension is drawn out step by step, perfectly mirroring Aarav's rising panic. So the crucial point here is this chilling warning, pulled directly from his grandfather's old diary. Just as Aarav reaches out to pull the curtain back, he remembers this specific line. If someone knocks on the window at midnight, do not look out by mistake, because what is outside won't be human. Man, this changes everything. It immediately raises the stakes from a mere neighborhood prank to literal supernatural survival. It confirms to Aarav that whatever is outside that window isn't a joke, and it certainly isn't a human. The room falls into absolute silence, and Aarav just freezes.
But the entity outside doesn't just rely on physical intimidation. Let's look at Section 4, the psychological horror of the voice. The author deploys a really specific, incredibly cruel type of horror next, psychological mimicry. Aarav hears a voice from outside the window pleading for him to open the door, and it's the voice of his mother. But here's the thing, his mother passed away years ago. The entity perfectly replicates her tone, her love, and her exact cadence saying, "Son, I am very cold." Talk about a brilliant narrative weapon. It bypasses Aarav's logic entirely and directly attacks his grief. It turns his own love and memory against him, just trying to trick him into breaking the village's one rule. How messed up is that? So Aarav's hands are shaking, he's totally paralyzed, hoping to God it's just a nightmare. But then, the ultimate breaking point arrives. A sudden, horrifying chorus of screams echoes across the entire village all at once. The sheer scale of the terror completely shatters Aarav's resolve. In a moment of absolute panic, unable to stop himself, he slowly pulls back the curtain. And this is where we reach the climax of the whole story. Section 5, the terrifying truth, the secret of the mirror. As Aarav looks out, the entire village is plunged in darkness. But right in the middle of the road, bathed in the shadows, stands a tall, dark figure. It has a human-like body, but its face is an absolute nightmare, because it's completely empty. No eyes, no nose, no mouth. Just a deep, dark void. By leaving the face blank, the narrative actually forces our own imagination to fill in the blanks, which makes the entity deeply, deeply unsettling.
But as terrifying as the creature is, the true horror of the story relies on a devastating twist of perspective. Aarav realizes something impossible about this faceless entity standing out in the road. It wasn't looking at Aarav's window. It was looking behind him. Yeah, you heard that right. This single realization completely shatters the perceived safety of his room. The danger isn't out there, in the dark street, trying to get in. The fundamental boundary between the dangerous outside world and the safe inside world, it's already been breached.
Aarav's throat goes completely dry. Slowly, agonizingly, he turns around, and there it is. The dark figure is already standing right there, in the corner of his own room. The brutal reality hits him like a ton of bricks. The terrifying thing he saw outside the window was never standing in the street at all. It was just its reflection on the glass. The rule wasn't about keeping the monsters outside. It was about preventing you from seeing what was already inside with you. Which leaves us with this final lingering thought. This story masterfully uses the physical environment, a window, not as a barrier, but as a mirror that reveals our absolute deepest vulnerabilities. It completely strips away our feeling of security in our own homes. So I want you to think about this tonight. The next time you look outside your window at night and you see your own room mirrored back at you against the dark glass, can you be absolutely sure that it is just your reflection staring back? Thank you so much for exploring the anatomy of this scare with me. Keep asking questions, keep analyzing, and whatever you do, don't look behind you.